者の強制化だよな。これがだんだんと進んでんだよ。
すごいですよ、これはもう。
それに反対する人々の戦い、これがね、熾烈になってきました。
私たちの友人もね、
戦ってる。
こう戦ってますね、これは。
でもね、アメリカではですよ、なんとですね、150人以上の医療従事者がですね、これ接種を拒んだという理由だけで解雇されたんですよ。ひどい話です。
信じられない。
でこのニュースをね、今日この番組で初出しなんだけど、 mRNA ワクチンの技術開発責任者のドクター・マロンさんの声も含めて紹介させていただきます。こちらのニュースをどうぞ。
Check out this headline. More than 150 hospital workers in Houston are fired or resign over COVID-19 vaccine requirement. Naturally, the media would have you believe that these are QAnon, anti-vax, right-wing militants. Well, no. These are just regular people who work in medicine, and they're skeptical, and they have every right to be. Take a listen.
I just don't want to inject this thing into my body that I don't even know what it's going to do.
In, say, 4 to 5 years down the road, that it has been proven that you really should be getting these vaccines to help you, I'll be glad to take it.
I'm refusing the vaccine because I'm genuinely, worried about the reactions or even long-term effects.
A lot of people are. It's okay. The 14th Amendment protects your zone of privacy, they call it, stating you have the ability to not disclose information about your own body. Colleges are the latest battleground over vaccine mandates. Indiana University will do everything but expel a student for not getting the shot. Your ID card will be deactivated. You can't go to any campus activities at a very fun party school. And some are fighting back. In the news this week, 8 students have challenged Indiana University's coronavirus vaccine requirement, arguing that the school's mandate violates their constitutional rights and state law. It all depends on how hard these universities are willing to fight to force their students into making medical choices that actually violate their free will. The New York Times now reports the coronavirus vaccines made by Pfizer, BioNTech, and Moderna may have caused heart problems in more than 1,200 Americans, including about 500 who are younger than age 30. Now, statistically, that is a very rare reaction, which is exactly what the CDC would say. But it's also among a group of people that's rarely seriously impacted by COVID itself. So you got a rare risk on either side of this thing. We have a very special guest tonight. Dr. Robert Malone is responsible for the creation of mRNA vaccines. And sir, thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's good to talk to you.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah. So as I understand it, you helped invent the technology behind the mRNA vaccine. And you have hesitations about this, and that probably shocks a lot of people that you were involved in the invention of it, and yet you have hesitations and you have warnings for people. Tell us about that.
You're focused on the current vaccines. My concerns have to do with not the underlying technology, but rather the antigens that are being expressed. And I also feel strongly, as you do, that people have the right to choose what happens to their own body. And there's some fundamental bioethics here that have to do, they're actually in federal law, which I think we ought to pay attention to. First off, these are all experimental products. They're not yet licensed. So if they're experimental products, people that are taking them are engaging in medical research. That falls under what's called the Common Rule. It's in the Code of Federal Regulations, and it requires 3 things. There has to be full and complete disclosure of risks. Those risks have to be understood, so we can't hide them in sciencey language. They have to be laid out in plain words that basically an 8th grade reader can understand. And the third key clause is there has to be full voluntary consent to take the experimental product. There cannot be any coercion. Furthermore, we call it the age of consent because that's what it is. Yeah. And for people that are under the age of 18, it's not okay to give out ice cream cones or whatever the bait is to try to get kids to accept the jab. without their parents' consent. So, number one, experimental product. Number two, has to be full and complete disclosure of risks. And number three, that has to be understood. Number four, voluntary participation cannot be coerced.
Are we still
That's
in that?
my big objection.
And fair enough, very, very much understood. Are we still in a test phase in some
Yes.
ways for the Pfizer and for the Moderna?
These are all three of them. These are not licensed products. We have no licensed vaccines for COVID in the United States, full stop.
この方はこの番組で紹介したで、今日はまあとにかくこれ本当にライブで見てないとすぐ消えると思いますんでね。
そうですね。
今日はもう削除覚悟。